All right. Hello, and welcome everyone. My name is Francisco Cantu, and I'm here with Laura Cantu, and we're very excited to be back on another live stream Monday. If this is your first time joining us, welcome for the first time. If you have joined us in previous weeks, welcome back. As we do every week, we have prepared a conversation that is going to be or should be very informational to all of you. It should be very insightful in terms of the road to college, the road to scholarships, not only acceptances, but the financing aspect of college as well. So today we are going to be focusing on what I personally consider the most important aspect of going through the college application journey, which is the selection process out of the thousands of different options, how to find the one that makes sense, that is responsible from an academic and from a financial standpoint, and that you don't have to compromise anything that you want or that your student wants in terms of what they want to pursue as a career, in terms of what your family can afford. So that conversation that we're going to have today is going to be very much about being an adult and making responsible, balanced decisions while also trying to do it in such a way that allows us to complete and fulfill our dreams and our college experiences that we want to have. All right. So that is a little preview as to what we will be discussing today. Laura, I want to hand it over to you so you can say hello to everyone, ask them to where they're from. So please go ahead.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Today we are, as Francisco mentioned, we're discussing how to choose the right college for your student, the importance of planning for this, for planning to find the right university, because as many of you may already know, there's over 3,000 colleges and universities in the United States. Every university is different, just like every student is different. So the key to unlocking scholarships and to getting accepted to the right university with the most amount of financial aid and scholarships is by looking for schools that are going to fit your students' academic, your students' extracurriculars, and most importantly, your families and your students' financial aid needs and, situation, right? The colleges that are going to offer you the most amount of financial aid. Alrighty, so just wanted to share that with you. Just wanted to kind of give you an overview about what we're discussing today. I see that Lily is in the chat saying hi to us. Thank you so much for joining. I also see some people in the comment section commenting. Day Hassett said, when is the best time to apply for scholarships? When it comes to private scholarships, and we've said it many times, it's always a good time to apply for private scholarships. There are scholarships like we discussed in past live streams that have to be applied to or that need to be filled out, the forms such as financial aid forms, whether it's state scholarships or federal aid has to be filled out before a specific deadline, or the earlier the better. But when it comes to private scholarships, you should be constantly looking for and applying to private scholarships. So great question. Thank you so much for joining today. Again, we're going to share the information with you, the show's information, do the live show. And like we have been doing in the past few live streams, we do have a little trivia at the end to test your college admissions knowledge. So definitely stay tuned for that, so that you don't miss out on anything and that you learn the most that you can learn. Alrighty. Let us know where you're joining from in the chat. Let us know whether you're a parent of a student or a student. I see that Vanny Bless says that they're joining from El Paso, Texas. Alex Chen is saying, I'm a senior and I'm scared to choose the wrong college. If you're scared of choosing the wrong college and you have, you're a little lost in this topic, this presentation is for you. Or even if you've never heard about this, it's a perfect piece of information and a perfect thing to know, no matter what grade you're in. Alrighty?
Yes. So as we keep the comments coming as to where you are joining from, I'm going to get started with some context as to why we personally believe that this is one of, if not the most important part of the entire process. And as I mentioned earlier, the road to college, it's a twofold journey. There is the financial, the financing aspect of getting to college. But in the first place, you have to be accepted. And you're going to be accepted to the places that you apply to. And you want to apply to places that make academic sense, professional sense, that are going to set you up for a good professional future, not just going to college because or for the sake of going to college. We've been at this for many years, and it is no secret that there's the argument of, oh, is college even worth it in this day and age? And to be honest, if you don't do it the proper way and you don't apply to the institutions that will cater or that will enable you to study what you want to study, to pursue the careers that you want to pursue, then doing it just for the sake of doing it and doing so in an irresponsible way that will come along with a lifetime of debt, then it might not be the best decision for you. So to prevent all of that, that's why we're having this discussion right now, so that we can put the building blocks on the road so that it is worth it for you, because it will not come along with the financial burden of lifetime of debt or without the compromise of picking the wrong institution. All right. So there's all these statistics, Laura, that we've heard in the past about you make on average $1 million more throughout your lifetime for going to college. The more that you climb up the education ladder in terms of professional degrees, the gap widens. So there's a lot of reasons why it would make sense for certain people to go to college. We're not here to talk about the philosophical debate of the value of college, but rather about, once you have decided that that's the road for you, how to do it so in a responsible fashion. So yes, that is a little bit as to why we think it's such an important conversation. Also, the fact that, again, as I mentioned earlier, with over 4,600 institutions that you could pick from, there are institutions that will focus, that will prioritize certain programs. There are institutions that have different areas or different structures, financial structures, that will allow them to be more generous than others. Not all schools are built the same in terms of what they offer as far as degrees. Not all schools are built the same as far as what they offer in terms of institutional aid, because of something called their endowments. We're going to dive a little bit deeper on as to how they're structured, how they do their funding. But to summarize all this and to keep it as concise as possible, different schools offer different career paths, and they offer different levels of generosity. And basically, the whole thing that we're going to be talking about for the next 45 minutes, 30 minutes, however long it takes us, is how to make sure that you filter and weed out everything that's going to be noise for you and that is going to take away from your life experience in terms of choosing the wrong institution that you might need to transfer out of, or compromise what you want to study, or do so in a way that will incur debt, and instead only go forward with a path in which you are choosing institutions that will satisfy your financial and academic needs, right? So I just wanted to give that preamble before we get started with the actual meat of the conversation.
Yes, very, very important, and very good that you kind of went over that overview of that. And with that being said, without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get started with today's topic, which is the importance of going to college, or how to find the right college for your student, the right university. And in order to do that, in order to be able to find the right college, you have to understand the importance of being strategic and the importance of kind of, dedicating time to doing some research. Like I mentioned, there's over 3,000 colleges and universities in the United States. And even those institutions, some of them are colleges, some of them are universities. Your student and you both have to know not everything. You don't have to know every college, but there's certain things and a lot of things that we cover inside of Best College Aid, and we teach our students. In fact, last week, I don't know if you guys were here for my interview with Ana Sofia, when she shared with us that she was accepted to over 8 colleges and universities so far, are the schools that she applied to. And I asked her, I said, throughout your college process, throughout your application process, and with us, with Best College Aid, what is something that you learned, and what do you think made the biggest difference that you learned inside of our course that helped you achieve all these amazing things, like getting accepted to all these amazing universities? And she said that she didn't know she had to, and the fact that she was able to create a list of colleges and really dedicate time to get to know a lot of universities. She said that there were schools that she had never heard of before, but because of that research, because of that guidance, she was able to find these schools that were out of state, that maybe she didn't know because her parents didn't study in this country, just schools that she just never heard of because they were private, or they were, smaller, or maybe they were all the way in New York, and she's in Arizona, etc. She said that was the most important part, and she was able to find some amazing institutions. She even said that her initial college list was 30 schools, and one of the hardest part was kind of like bringing it down because you do have to like have 10 to 12 schools, but she mentioned that that was the most important part, and it was the best strategy for her because it helped her get again accepted into 8 colleges so far. She applied to 11 schools and she's been accepted to 8. So yeah, that is something that she said, and she's a current client of us. And honestly, this is something that we saw success in myself and Francisco with our personal college application journey, having a strategy. I was telling our clients in our Spanish live stream earlier how Francisco and I, even though we're siblings and we have a lot of similar things like that we like and stuff, we're also very different. And a perfect example of, what I'm saying when every student is different is that Francisco and I, our college list was completely different. I don't think we applied to any of the same schools. I think it was only Wake Forest. You applied to Wake Forest?
Yes.
I applied to Wake Forest too, but that was it. All the other schools, maybe some Florida FSU and UF, because we're from Florida and those were good still schools to have because they were local. But other than that, Francisco applied to UNC. I did not apply to big schools like UNC. And even where we ended up going, it was very different because it was based on what we were interested in, based on what we were looking for, and just who we are as people. I went to a private college in New York, near New York City, because I'm a theater person and I wanted to be near all of that. Also, I wanted to go somewhere that got really cold. We had all the seasons, even though North Carolina has seasons, but it's a little colder up north. I didn't want to go to a huge school with like a huge athletic program, even though it looks super fun. It wasn't my number one priority. And for you, friend, I know you said in the past that was something that you were looking for.
Absolutely. I should be watching the UNC basketball game right now, but I wanted to have this conversation. But no, all jokes aside, yes, that was a part of my experience. I definitely wanted to customize it to my professional goals. I definitely wanted to customize it with the financial need, the demonstrated financial need of the household, because as I mentioned earlier, it's a twofold process. There's the academics, there's the financing aspect, and treating all schools as if they were equal is a big mistake that a lot of people do. And although with our clients, and we could say the word clients because we do have our private college advising company. And for those of you who are interested, we do have a free presentation, the link in our bio, where we first give out, same way that we're doing right now, a bunch of free value. And then the last 20 minutes, we talk about our full pay program. You can check that out in the link in our bio. Or if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, you can go to the video's description. But that's why we keep saying clients. I just want to preface that. But with our clients, we go into the nitty gritty as to the actual tools and the technical aspects as to, okay, here's how you narrow down based on career path, based on, GPA, based on, demonstrated financial needs satisfied. So yeah, you can learn about that in the presentation that we have in the link in our bio. But before we even get there, for the sake of this conversation, I think something that's very important, whether you're a parent right now watching this or whether you are a high school student yourself watching this right now, I think there's a level of maturity that people reach. And some high school students have it right away. Some students develop it as they go through college. Other ones have it or they learn it the hard way and they can only come to this conclusion after the fact. But when students put aside what their friends are doing, what their significant others are doing, where their parents went to college, and they're very transparent with themselves as to what their professional goals are and as to what they want to do for a living, and they work in unison with their parents as far as, discussing finances, being, very clear about what is a possibility and what is not, and the family's financial standing in a system that is not perfect. And I had a conversation this weekend with a bunch of my friends over the weekend. I got to travel. I was in Washington, D.C., and I was talking to a bunch of my friends, all who went to different schools, some in Chicago, some in Atlanta. And we were all talking about how the value of education very much is exacerbated and is very much dependent on what you do with that education and how compatible it is with your goals. And, different students, different friends of ours had different experiences in terms as to what they got out of their education. So all that's to say is if you're watching this and you're already in high school, don't wait until your freshman year of college to realize that some of the credits that you took in high school don't transfer into your school, or that your school that you are enrolled in doesn't accept or doesn't offer certain majors, or doesn't have a financial aid policy that is generous based on families with similar financial standing as yours. But rather, if you plan forward, you don't have to learn these lessons the hard way, and you can, again, strategically plan to be at the proper place. And even if you're not at the proper place, the opportunity cost, or what the consequence of that, might not be as severe as if you have already taken out thousands and thousands of dollars in loans just to learn that lesson. But ideally, again, what we do with our clients is try to keep them from even making that mistake in the first place. And hopefully, if you're watching this opens up your eyes to thinking, okay, wait, why am I really applying to this big state school just because all my friends are applying to it, or just because my parents went there? They don't even offer an engineering program, or they're not a feeder school for this law school that I want to get into. So paying attention to that is probably the biggest or most important thing that you can get out of this conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. Super important. Like you said, Francisco, to really honestly, know yourself and know what you want, and think about the future, obviously, not too far ahead, or but just in general. Even if you don't know what you want to be when you grow up, you don't know if you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, but you have a general idea of who you are, what you like. If you're the type of person who you would see yourself maybe in a medical field, or in the communications space, the public relations space, which colleges have good programs. Maybe you're looking to, like Francisco said, you were thinking, oh, I'm just gonna apply here in Florida. Growing up, it was always UF, FSU, UCF, maybe FIU. And people wouldn't apply more than that, which is fine. But there's so many other options, and students who are excellent extracurriculars, who are looking for something, and they don't realize that they could go to an amazing school out of state if their dream is to go to New York, but they think going out of state is so expensive. Can be, but also some private schools, some private colleges, some out-of-state universities can be just as generous or even more generous than your local college, your local university, public school, private school. So very important things to keep in mind. And yeah, things that we've taught our students, things that worked for us. Like I said, we live in Fort Lauderdale, the Fort Lauderdale area, and I went out of state, and I ended up paying less to go all the way to New York than I would have paid here going to FSU or UF, or maybe the same because of being an in-state student and all that. But I wanted to go out of state. I wanted to experience something different. So it's important to research. It's important to understand your options and take advantage of opportunities, because that's one of the biggest things that people don't do, is that the reason why they go into debt, or they just sometimes don't even go to college because of how expensive it can be. It's because they are not aware of the opportunities that they have at their disposal, because whether maybe a private, not a private, but a high school college counselor wasn't able to help them, or they didn't have the resources to help, or maybe the parents and the student didn't have the money to pay for a private college counselor. They unfortunately don't take advantage of the many resources, because by taking advantage of the resources, your child, you student watching this, you can go to a great college paying as little as possible. But it's all about strategy, and it's what we've been doing and teaching people to do in the past 5 years, and we will continue to do so because we really want to help as many people as we can, Alrighty. So that was it. Not it, but that was the first part of the presentation. Now I kind of want to go into what to look for, or what to think about, the most important things to consider, and it's 3. When you finally get to that process of creating a college list. And by the way, Francisco already said it, but I'm just going to remind you, we have a free training. It's linked in this video's description, also in the link in our bio if you're watching us on Instagram or TikTok, where we cover the top secrets to go to college with scholarships, free training, free resource that we have for you, full of information. Francisco hosts that training, and he put a lot of effort into it and the information that he shares. So definitely check it out if you want to learn more information, because it's something that we created just for you to learn more. All right. So what to consider when you finally, or when you start looking or investigating, looking and creating that college list. The first thing, majors offered? What are the academic opportunities? And that's not just, it's not just a process of, okay, this school offers this and that. It's also kind of like a work on yourself and a self-analysis, because a lot of students, maybe there are students who, since they were in middle school, knew, I want to be a dentist, I want to be a surgeon, I want to be an EMT or a film producer, and they know from a young age and they never change their mind. But there's people, on the other hand, who are confused. They don't really know. I had an idea of what I wanted. I know that you knew what you wanted. You were thinking about something in the business world. David, too, since he was little, he was like, I like money. I like, dealing with all that and understanding finance and all that. So he went into the finance route. My brother Vidal, since he was literally a kid, football, soccer, because we're from Mexico, football or soccer. He would watch soccer games. He would, listen to podcasts and the radio and all that. He was obsessed. And my parents always thought, this kid, this is not going to help you. Like, it's such a hard field. Not everybody makes it. Well, right now he works for the Mexican Federation, Soccer Federation, the football, Federación de Fútbol.
You can tell Laura also shares that passion for soccer.
I get not confused, but I'm like, oh, people don't say football; they say soccer. American people, but yes, he works for the Federación Mexicana de Fútbol, and he is a top journalist, top producer and is in charge of arranging everything for the upcoming World Cup and covering for the Mexican team, the Mexican Selección Mexicana. Francisco can definitely, he's laughing at me because I'm butchering how to describe it, because yes, I'm not a big sports person, but yeah, you can describe it.
You're doing great. You're doing great. No, he was a producer for Univision, one of the largest sports networks, the largest soccer network in the United States, and then now he works for the Mexican national team. That's it. But yeah, it all started though because he identified early on that he had that passion, and then when he proceeded to go get an education, it was in sports journalism. Sports journalism landed him a job on TV. Then that TV job eventually landed him a job within the Mexican national team. But despite the logistics, going back to a general sense, if you're a parent yourself, then you got to support your students' passion, even if you don't see them being conducive to some sort of professional degree. Why? Because nowadays, I remember when I was in high school, they were talking about, social media and how I think it was like 80% of the jobs, of the top jobs from the 80s didn't exist however many years ago. And now, fast forward 10 years later, and with artificial intelligence and, augmented reality and all those things that are, ever growing, you're preparing yourself for the education of the future. So things that might not necessarily be a career or could potentially be a career. There's all these content creators, YouTubers, streamers. Now colleges are even in on the hype, and they, offer scholarships for esports, and they have their e-leagues. So again, whether you're a parent or a student, identifying what your passion is, and it's a very personal process. But then if you can identify a way in which superior education, a higher education institution can help hone that and turn it into a career, then by all means pursue that. Just make sure that you're doing so responsibly, again, by guaranteeing that you don't show up your freshman year, pick class, and then realize that, this school only offers biomedical engineering. It doesn't offer space engineering. It doesn't offer, physics engineering. So again, you want to make sure that you're responsible in that regard. And then, as we discussed earlier, look at the demonstrated financial need percentage met by the institution. And, we teach our clients to rely on documents like the common data set, historical data, to go ahead and identify, okay, this institution for families with a similar financial makeup as mine tend to receive X percentage of their, calculated demonstrated financial need, which comes from, again, filling out the proper documentation, FAFSA, CSS profile if required, providing any additional assets, all the technical stuff we work with our clients to do. But for the sake of keeping it, top level here, identifying the schools in the first place that are worth doing that for, that's where you start. And then all of a sudden you end up with a list of all generous institutions that all are going to give you competitive award packages, that all are going to help out or serve as leverage tools. And then you can, again, lead a very assertive path towards, an affordable education, because you have the tools to negotiate. You have the tools to go ahead and do something about it, rather than just being victim of only being offered non-competitive awards because unfortunately, you know, the institutions that you applied to, because you didn't have that information, didn't offer competitive awards, or even if they did so at institutions that didn't offer what you wanted to pursue. Okay, so that's like the summarized version of everything that we've been trying to discuss in this particular conversation. And this is not just applicable for seniors who are now trying to, you know, or rising seniors, maybe juniors who are right now in the process of starting their preliminary list of colleges. But if you're a freshman, sophomore, or again, a junior, or even if you're in middle school, our clients, we work from as early as middle school all the way through senior year, or we've had even students who join in looking to transfer. But basically, the earlier that you start figuring out where you want to study, the more you can work towards crafting or aligning your application in a way that can satisfy the criteria in a very genuine way, of course, but also in a strategic way that puts the best foot forward as far as what schools look for, what they consider the most important elements of, you know, their academic and non-academic, you know, application components, the essay, the SAT, ACT, extracurriculars, what they value most, and what can I do now looking forward to make sure that those areas shine the most in the eyes of the admissions officer. So that is what I wanted to finish with before going into the trivia. If you want to learn more about this type of content, again, free resources, there are 2 places that you can go. Number 1, I recommended the most is go ahead and check out that presentation in the link in my bio. It's much more dense than this because we try to keep these Monday sessions, conversations kind of top level so that everyone can get something out of it. But if you want something that is more technical, that talks more again about, you know, the financial aid forms that are required, how to boost odds of acceptance, essay writing, all those things that are, you know, more directly tied to actually completing the process, you can check out that free presentation. Is like an hour and 20 minutes. I just updated it a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, that is very, very densely packed with value. You can take notes. Sign up is completely free. And just in the spirit of full transparency, the last 15, 20 minutes of that presentation, we do talk about our Best College Aid Paid program for people who are looking for more personalized advising on their road to college. So that is free resource number 1. And then free resource number 2 is the recording for this conversation. As always, is going to be posted on our social media page, Best College Aid USA. If you want to watch it in Spanish, you can also go to Best College Aid without the USA. All right. So you want to get started with the trivia?
Yes. Why don't we go ahead and ask the trivia questions? I would appreciate if everybody participates, or as many of you participate, because, you know, it's fun and it keeps you engaged, and it lets me know who is actually watching, because I do see a lot of people tuned in today. So I would like to hear from you guys or what you think the answers are. Alrighty. First question. It's going to be a multiple choice, and I'm going to give the options, and then you can write what you believe the answer to be in the chat. In which year was the first SAT first taken? In which year was the SAT first taking the SAT exam? A, 1926, B, 1998, C, 2002. In which year was the SAT exam first administered and it was first taken by students? A, 1926, B, 1998, and C, 2002. Let's see what your answers are in the chat. I'm going to give you guys a little time to answer in the chat. All right. Somebody said no, not C.
I'm somebody.
Francisco, I can't read that. Francisco said not C. Manny says 1926. Alma Ter says 1926 as well. Alrighty. We got A. Vanny blessed. Alex also. We have a B. Jeffrey guessing B. Alrighty. What do we have on TikTok? Do we have any answers? We got an A, a B, a C. Alrighty. So why don't we go ahead and read the answer, Francisco?
The answer, which came as a surprise to me prior to making this presentation, is 1926. So it's been around for a long time. And I know with COVID, I know a lot of universities, once COVID happened, you know, started to shy away from it, or they jumped on the trend of making it optional for their, you know, admissions process as a whole. There's certainly a level of strategy that comes along with that decision. Our clients learn about how to juxtapose, you know, their score scores with the average student, and if it's optional, leverage it included or not included based on this, whether it provided more strength or less strength to their application. So that's just a tidbit of information that seems relevant to share with this piece of trivia. But yeah, it's been around for a long time. And as I mentioned earlier, we teach our clients, okay, some schools pay significantly more attention to the score than others. So other schools focus on different aspects of the application. So it's all a game about how to apply to the universities that, if you have a great score, will place a lot of value on that. And if you don't have as competitive a score, then maybe apply to institutions or go from that preliminary list to that final list only at institutions that will value other aspects of your application if it's not that competitive, right? So at the end, you want to apply to universities that are most likely to accept you based on your statistics.
Yep. Very, very true. All right. That was question number 1. Let's move on to question number 2. And that is a true or false question. So you're going to type true or false. True or false. College AP classes are the only type of college level classes available that students can take. True or false? AP classes are the only type of college level courses available for students to take. Is this true or is it false? Ding, 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 ding. Gonna do the little music. I was telling David that I'm gonna put some music for this section, so whenever we're waiting for the answer, we can put that like in Jeopardy. All right, so we got false. Kylie and Alex are saying false. Alrighty, we got some falses on TikTok. Somebody said true on Facebook. Alrighty. Why don't we go? Jeffrey says F for false. Manny says false. All right, Fran, you want to go ahead and tell us true or false?
What was the question? No, just kidding. No, it's definitely false. There are different types of classes. There are different benefits to taking those different classes. There is dual enrollment. There are ACE classes. Some schools go ahead and offer even early admissions to some students for them to take those courses within those 4-year colleges. But if not, then there's dual enrollment with smaller community colleges that have some sort of agreement with the university. So yeah, there's the International Bachelorette program, the IB program. So there's a lot of different ways that are compatible with different types of students. And it's a matter of knowing what type of student you are. Are you a better test taker or are you a better student? And if so, what are the different options offered by your high school? And how are you going to make sure that you enroll in those specific courses or those specific types of classes that will be compatible with your performance style? So yes, there's different options. And the answer was false. And the question was whether APs were the only type of college level classes.
I was like, are you serious?
No, I know everything.
You were joking. He was joking. Alrighty. Last question. Another true or false statement. Students can only apply to one private scholarships. Is this true? Scholarship. Is this true or false? Students can only apply to one private scholarship. They can't apply to more. Is that true or false? Alrighty, let's see what we get, which answers we get. Kylie says false. We got Ruben says false on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. We're still getting questions coming in. Manny says false. Alex Chen, false. Emma says false as well. All right. Are you guys ready? The answer is true. I'm kidding. It's false. Students can apply to as many private scholarships as they want. It's the beauty of private scholarships. And not only that, unlike federal financial aid that does have to be filled out in a specific point in time for the first time, and there are deadlines and rules as to the earlier you fill it out, the FAFSA or the CSS profile, sometimes it's better to do it earlier. Private scholarships are usually available all year long. There's like opening and closings. There's scholarships that have like a time window, but it might be from January to March. Some scholarships might only be available in the summer. Some scholarships might only be available, in the winter time. Some might be open for a whole school year, or they might have rolling admissions, because they have a lot of awards. So it really does depend on the type of scholarship. And yeah, students can apply to, for generally, they can apply to all the private scholarships that they want to apply to. There's students who have applied to a bunch of private scholarships and they've gotten literally money left over from the awards that they've gotten, because it all combines from a financial aid award package. It's a combination of private scholarships. It's a combination of institutional scholarships, federal scholarships, and sometimes state scholarships. So it's really cool. So my tip for you guys, and I did see a question earlier about private scholarships. It's good for students to be constantly on the lookout for private scholarships. No matter if you are doesn't matter if you are in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, if you're in middle school, there are some private scholarships available for middle schoolers. So definitely be constantly applying, constantly looking for opportunities. And inside of that free training that we have in this video's description, in the comment section, and in the link in our bio, if you're watching on Instagram and TikTok, we do share strategies on how to win scholarships, especially private scholarships, how to go about that. So definitely check it out. Make sure to register. Another, like, it's a free resource, something that we wanted to give up to you guys. And I do see some comments about people interested in joining our Best College Aid membership. At the end of that free training, we do offer a special discount for having just registered to watch and wanting to learn. And it's special discount, 50% off for you and your family to join our lifetime membership, our Best College Aid lifetime family membership. So if you're interested in joining Best College Aid and having our guidance and having all the benefits that all of our clients get, make sure to register to that free training and stay till the end, because we will share that discount with you, and so that you can join Best College Aid. Alrighty. All right, Fran, do you have any other thing that you want to share with us before we sign off?
No, I just wanted to thank you all for spending this evening with us. We will be back here on Wednesday, and I will see you all then inside the presentation or inside the program or next week. But hopefully I'll see you all again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you inside the training, inside of Best College Aid, or we'll see you next week. Have a good one.